want to see Xena.
That would be impossible.
One of the things that made Xena interesting was that she was a character with a past, and she carried that past in everything she did. And the deaths were a great way of showing some of the defining moments that had affected Xena.
We were dealing with Xena's past, so we come upon the television show, we've seen that she's trying to start making amends for her past sins.
It was a double episode. It was 2 hours of television, and they really put the money into the production design on that one. I mean, when we walked on some of the sound stages over there, which are basically warehouses, and I saw some of the sets that they were building for this particular episode and what they were designing, the production value really gave it an epic feel.
They wanted it to be epic. It wasn't, it was to be an epic thing. So it was challenging from that point of view, that the script determined that we were going to be at various locations. We were going to be doing more than you would normally do when you're shooting a TV show. You have to be much more pragmatic,
So the idea that Xena was going to Mongolia, say, or our version of Mongolia, that was a really nice thing to play with.
Lucy and Renee were terrific, and once again, I think what their relationship went through in those two and then culminating in the bittersweet was probably the most extreme arc we had throughout the entire journey of Xena.
Well, the prison water scene was a really brilliant design by Rob Gillies. To be thrown in a prison, in a dungeon, is one thing, but then to be thrown in a watery dungeon with Lucy's pillory around her neck, which was in fact, taken from, that was historically accurate.
I'd seen in a book of early photographs from China, if you were a criminal, your sentence was to wear this for maybe a month or a year. And I think what the purpose of it also was that you couldn't feed yourself. And I can remember when we actually did the set and flooded it wasn't a nice place to be in.
Say it!
I can't tell you how many times Gabrielle slapped Xena.
Stop. You poor thing, you had that heavy brace around you.
Oh,
and you were on your knees just to make it worse. Oh, yeah, but come on.
Oh, I thought that was cool.
Yeah?
Cool.
It's a great choice.
To be forced to do something that is so anti everything that you or your character believes in.
That's true, actually.
It's just, it's great, riveting.
In the debt particularly, there's a very big emotional moment for Gabrielle with Xena, when Xena's in the pillory in the prison, in the watery prison in the debt. It was very important for me to get that emotional beat just right. And I told Renee, I said, hold every emotion, hold everything you've got in your soul and your heart, and this begging for forgiveness, hold it for this one line. Gabrielle looks at Xena, and Xena looks at her, and that's it. Then the dam broke, and I said, that's the moment, right there.
Scratch my nose, will you? Come on.
Key thing, the thing I loved writing most was the Lao Ma character, how we were able to discover from studying the scrolls, the Gabrielle's scrolls, that it was actually Lao Ma who wrote the Tao Te Ching and not her husband, Lao Tzu. And so to explore that was probably the most fun I had in the whole time doing Xena. I love those 2 China episodes, by the way.
Jacqueline Kim was terrific as Lao Ma. Very, very strong, powerful, good actor who also was very sublime. And one of the things that I was always struck by is that she was able to deliver her lines with effortlessness and still be a very commanding presence on screen.
The scene where Lao Ma wraps Xena in a piece of cloth and then unravels her and spins her like a top and causes her to float in the air. One thing that I saw that I think really added to the sensuality of the piece and the beauty of it was, once I knew that they were going to be off the ground, I talked to Nyla Dixon, the costumer, and I said, gosh, you know, I just see a lot of flowing material in slow motion. And that's kind of what I told to Nyla, mentioned to her, and boy, she designed these beautiful costumes that if you stood on the ground with them, there would be, you know, trains of material all over the place, but once we lifted them up on wire and shot them in slow motion and hit them with big fans, then the material just flowed all around them and just added that much more sensuality and beauty to the scene. It was really great.
Xena was at a point in her life that she needed something desperately, and just like people find God or find, you know, any other kind of spiritual awakening, I think that Lao Ma played that role for Xena at that point in her life. So I think it was probably the seminal person that she would meet in her life prior to meeting Gabrielle.
I think Xena kind of likes those Asian girls, don't you? I think she was very intrigued by Lao Ma, who was so graceful, and I think everything that Xena wasn't.
You know, once again, Lucy was so in tune with what was happening in these stories. She was so well prepared that, you know, even in that temple fight scene, she grasped it. I mean, she knew. And I think that was sort of like the feeling that we all thought should happen, but Lucy she really knew what was going on with this character at that point. The ambiguity of Ming Tian's death at the end, whether or not the audience thinks he's dead or not, Gabrielle thinks he's dead or not, well, Gabrielle never knew he was dead. She walked out of that room thinking that Xena had learned, you know, the lessons and played by the rules now that Lao Ma had set forth.
I love you, Xena. Love you too, Gabrielle.
Did I really hit you?
Oh, not really. Stunt hit. No. Wasn't like all those other times.
Off camera. By the coffee table. In the belly.
Yes.